Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, the other day my boss told me I was fired, and then he sprayed me with a fire extinguisher. Today we're taking a look at Hadrian's Wall by Garfield Games and Renegade Game Studio. In Hadrian's Wall, 1 to 6 players are going to compete to see who can build up the best mid-castle and build up the strongest wall to prevent the attacks from the picks coming in. You're going to have to make sure that everything inside is going to be going good. Your performances are going good. Your churches are going good. The market is going to be thriving. But at the same time, you got to make sure that the cohorts are going to be on those walls and everything else is there to defend against the attacks. So, who can do this the best? Who can score the most victory points? Well, first, let me show you how this is played, or explain how this is played, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Hadrian's Wall is played over 6 different turns. So what you're going to do after you have the game set up is you're going to draw a fate card. And on that fate card, it's going to tell you how many resources everybody's going to get. Okay. So you just look at the bottom half of the card and everybody takes all of those resources. Then what you're going to do is every person's going to draw 2 player cards. Now, the player cards, you're going to keep one and then you're going to put the other one down, but you're going to gain resources for the other one. So the one you keep, you're going to tuck under your board under year 1. And those are victory points that you can get at the end of the game if you meet certain criteria on that. So you have to pay attention to those. And the other one is going to do 2 different things. You're going to get resources based on whatever the icons are in the bottom left-hand corner, and the bottom right-hand corner is going to be used in the market phase by other players in the game. Okay. So how does the game play? On your turn, well, okay, on everybody's turn, because this game basically is going to play simultaneous. All right. You're going to spend your workers and your resources to do various actions on the board. Now, I'm not going to explain everything here. I'm just going to give you a highlight of what happens, okay? Because there's some really good rules videos out here on this. All right, so if you look at your boards, if you set up correctly, on the left-hand side is basically your outer walls and everything else that you're building up. So you can use your servants. Your servants are going to be able to do your mining and your foresting. And they're going to basically allow you to be able to get more clay and more resources as the years progress. You're going to be able to use your guards or your soldiers. Your soldiers are going to be used for building up your walls and also your guard posts. So the further along those go, then they're going to allow you to build up your cohorts, but they're also going to allow you to be able to get that extra discipline that you need as well. All right. The clay is used in that upper left. You're going to be using that basically to add more cohorts because you're going to have to use the clay, well, to help build everything up. You're also using that for the wall, so it's a 2-part thing. And then your your builders and your soldiers can be used for building up the fort. All right. Now, if you look at that top section, you notice it's divided into 3 pieces. And you can't build anything in the second piece until you actually build your medium granary. Okay, but you have to get to a certain point in the game before you can actually build that. In the last third part, you have to have your large granary built before you can actually move anything into there. So you kind of have to pay attention to all that. All right, then when you go down to the middle section, that's basically where you're going to be using your servants and your civilians. They're going to be able to build like different hotels. You got your workshops you can build. You can even build your different roads, but you have to build them the top one before you can build the bottom one, and you have to get so far along on your fort track before you can actually build any of those. If you haven't noticed a common theme here, you have to build something at a certain point before you can do something else along the line. So you have to kind of watch how all that goes. Now, pretty much the bottom half of that board is going to be scoring, and it's going to be where your renown, your renown, piety, valor, and your discipline, and where those points are going to be for those, okay? Because as you do different things, those are going to cross everything out as well. On the right side of the board, this is basically the fort itself. You're going to have your traders, your performers, your priests, your apparators, I can never say that word very good, and your patricians. And I can't say that one very good either. But anyways, those ones there, it's going to take a civilian, your little yellow guy, and he's going to allow you to mark in those each one of those different tracks. Now, the further you go up each one of those tracks is going to allow you to be able to do a whole bunch of other different things along the way. It's going to allow you to be able to do your gladiatorial, your markets, your courthouses, your scouting and everything else, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of more stuff. Okay. Now, the thing you got to pay attention to this game is as you use your clay and as you use your different workers and your resources to color in the boxes, if you ever color in an icon, it's not just a white empty box, an icon, then that's going to get you a resource or going to allow you to color something else in and fill another checkbox in for somewhere else. And that alone may get you different resources. So one of the things in this game you got to really pay attention to is if I spend this guy to do this, he's going to allow me to get this, which is going to allow me to do this over here, and then I can color in this and I'm going to get these resources. So that's how this game basically is going to play out. Now you're going to do this until everybody has done and used all of their workers and all of their resources and everything else. Once that's done, then what you have to do is you're going to be looking at the area that you're in, okay, and also the difficulty you're playing. All right, and you're going to notice on your board here, on this little board, you're going to see where it's got the green, the yellow, and the red. That's basically the difficulty you're playing. The yellow is this, I believe, the standard difficulty on this. And what you're doing is you're looking at that right there. And that's going to tell you for that era how many fate cards you have to draw. And those fate cards up at the very top, you're going to see 3 arrows, a center arrow and your 2 left-right arrows. That's saying where the attack is coming in from the picks. All right. Now, if you're just drawing the one card and say the attack is coming from the center and you've actually already crossed off, you have 1 in the center and it's only 1 attack, you've successfully defended it, which is good, and you're going to get those particular bonuses. But if you have more attacks coming in than you do cohorts on the walls, then you're going to get disdain. And that's going to be negative victory points you're going to get into the game, but you can kind of try to mitigate some of that a little bit later on as well. All right. Once you're done with that, then you're going to go to phase 2 or year 2, for example, and you're going to start that whole thing all over again. You're going to draw a fate card. You're going to grab your resources. You're going to see what bonus resources you're going to be able to get from your board based on how far you've gone up, like your resource track. Did you build any hotels or anything along those lines? And you're going to keep doing this again and again and again until all 6 years are done. Once all 6 years are done, then you're going to go to the bottom half of that board. You're going to mark all of your points, how many points you got for everything else. Make sure you get your negatives for your disdain and everything else. And at the end of the 6th era, when your points are all calculated up, whoever has the most points wins Hadrian's Wall. Okay, folks, that was a really high level how to play on this game, because that's not really what this review is about, playing the game. It's more about what are my final thoughts on this particular game. Now, this game, like I said, it's been out for a couple years. It's one I have been wanting to play for a very long time. Now, luckily, the folks at Renegade Game Studio, they were nice enough to send us a review copy of this. So that's how I was actually able to get to play this so that I can review it for you folks. Now, what do I think about the game? I'm going to say up front, this is a great game. I really enjoy playing this game. However, I don't know if I'd necessarily want to play it as a multiplayer game. Although, it really doesn't make that much of a difference, because this is the epitome of a multiplayer solitaire type game. Because really what you're doing in this game is going to affect nobody else. The only thing that they're dealing with is whatever cards you draw and you set down for whatever your market might be. Okay, that might be the only thing that's going to affect other players. Now, the thing is when you're playing this multiplayer, and if you're trying to decide what market cards that you don't want to put down because you don't want them to be able to potentially get points on their market board, yeah, depending on how far their sheet is away from you, this stuff is really small. I'm not going to see it. I would have to get up, or I have to ask them, hey, so what numbers can you do for your market? What are you looking for? Da, 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 da. So, I mean, that's the only thing with this. To me, this game is a solitaire game. Through and through, this is a game that I'm going to pull out, I'm going to set up, and I'm going to play it strictly by myself. I will probably never play this with anybody else. I would if somebody wanted to play, but I'm not going to go seek out a group to play this game multiplayer. I'm just going to play it alone. But based on that, what I feel about this game is, oh my gosh, this game is amazing. Because the cool thing about this is I like how on your track right here, and I think I have those backwards, on this track right here, you can easily see how many cards you're going to be drawing every turn based on your difficulty level of the attacks going to be coming in. So you can foresee that. So you're like, oh, well, I know I'm going to be drawing 6 cards. I know I'm going to have at least possibly 6 locations marked off. Now, are they going to be the right ones or the wrong ones? I don't know. But at least if you can have enough, maybe you're going to get lucky and you're going to defend off all of the attacks. But that's not the best part about this game. The best part about this game and the most fulfilling part about this game to me is being able to spend a resource, or you're a civilian or a servant or something like that, cross something off on the board that's going to get you an additional resource that you can now play again, that's going to get you another additional resource, and you're going to keep going and going and going. I've never seen a game that does it quite as well as this does. It is amazing how many resources you can get by playing other resources. I mean, I'm going to start off the game with like 8 different resources, but by the time the round's done, I've spent 20 or something along those lines. It is absolutely amazing how that works. It is a puzzle in itself. Now, one of the things that can be said about this is, well, if that's the case, then you always know that you want to spend this to get this, to get this, to get this. And that's what's going to lead you to the best score in this game. Yes, but no, because you're drawing those fate cards every turn. Those fate cards are dictating the resources and the different workers that you're going to be able to have to spend all over the place. And the victory point cards are coming up randomly as well. So what worked one game isn't going to necessarily work the next game, because you can have totally different victory points that you're going to be going for. So just because you did really good in the gladiatorial arena on one game, you may not get a single victory point card or anything that has anything to do with that track. And you may have something that's going to do more with like building your cohorts up or your walls or something else. So every game plays totally different because of that. And that's one of the cool things I like about this game. And that's where the replay value of this game is really going to come into play. Based on the resources you get, based on the victory point conditions you're going to have, that's going to totally dictate your strategies. You can go into a game saying, you know what, I'm going to try this strategy. This is how I want to play this game. You draw your first 2 cards. These are your base victory points. Like, I think I'm going to have to change my strategy just a little bit. Year 2 comes along. You draw another card. Has nothing to do with the strategy you want to play. I guess I'm now going to have to base my strategy and change it again. So by the time the game's done, you've gone in a totally different direction than what you originally maybe thought you would do. And that's what's so cool about this game. That's what I really like about this game. When you come over to the forts, and I got to keep looking, there's so much with this game. I got to keep looking at these sheets just to remember what's going on. But your forts, that's one of the cool things about the forts is when you start building your forts up, you got your, it's split into 3 different sections. All right. You have to be able to build just through the first one in order to get into the second. All right. But you have to be at level 5 before you can even build that third. So you have to build everything up before you can get in. You can't build, like, say, your mining and resources. You can't just take that and just run that all the way to the end without having your fort get to a certain level, so you can actually be able to build your medium granary, so that you can actually get everything into that section. And that's super cool. It just doesn't let you just run away on that one chart. You kind of have to bring them all together. Now, you can build that bottom fort up, and if you want, you can just go totally all in on the garrison or totally in on everything else and leave the other tracks behind. That's totally your prerogative. You just know that you have to build your fort up to a certain point. When you look at the other sheet, the cool thing about that one is every time you want to do something else, and there's so much you can do with like the performances or the traders and stuff like that. There's so much you can do, but you can only do those abilities if you can get the main one up to a certain point and then build that particular market or build whatever that it is. Then once you build it, then you can start adding those in. Really cool. I love the way all that works. You're really having to kind of play around with that. And like I said, it is so fulfilling when you're playing this game and you're spending a resource here to gain another resource that you can now play over here. And it's like, oh, but I want to do this over here, but how can I do it? Oh, wait a minute. But if I spend this down here, this is going to get me this. And then I can come over here and I can do this. And you're playing off these 2 boards. And oh my gosh, it is so good. It is so satisfied. It is so much fun. I got to tell you, this game is absolutely fantastic. I wish I would have played this a couple years ago when it came out. So good. Now, the one thing about this game, though, that you got to really be careful of, and I think I just kind of highlighted it on in the rules, is the end of the year. Because that end of the year, you got to be really careful on that. Because I'll tell you what, if you just totally ignore those cohorts and those attacks are going to come in, if they just keep coming in and coming in and coming in, I mean, you can get some serious negative victory points. I mean, you're looking at if you get like 9 disdain, you're looking at negative 22 victory points, which is a ton. That is huge. You do not want that to happen. You're probably going to get some disdain as the game goes on. It's really hard to not have any disdain, but you got to try to mitigate it. You got to try to help protect your people a little bit. I mean, your performers are out there doing what they're going to do. They're in the gladiator, they're in the theater, they're watching the show. You don't want the picks coming in and taking out them while they're watching the show. So get those cohorts, build that wall, do what you need to do. And it's a balance game. You just kind of have to work that little balance. You can't go super heavy all on one thing and 100% ignore everything else. It's like you really have to start moving stuff around and figuring out how it's going to play out for this particular gameplay for you. But like I said, this to me is an absolutely fantastic game. If you like solo games and you like it's kind of you're rolling rights, you're flipping rights or whatever, you're drawing your cards and you're just coloring everything in. Your resource management type games like this, I think this is a fantastic game, and I think you're going to absolutely love this game. If you don't like trying to figure out that puzzle and coloring all that stuff in and trying to figure out the best way to utilize your resource, this may not be the game for you. It's only about an hour to play. The more you play this game, it actually speeds it up, and once you get an idea, and I'll tell you this, what was really slow for me at first was the fort side of this board, where all your traders, performers, and everything else. Knowing how all of this stuff works, that was probably the slowest part for me to learn, because there's so much going on over here. And honestly, when you look at these sheets of paper, it is just like, oh my gosh, it is overwhelming. But honestly, once you start playing the game, it all kind of makes a little more sense. Now, my one gripe that I do have with the game is I honestly wish this game would have come with some player aids. Just some little cards I can kind of put off to the side that are going to kind of help me out on what some of the things do. I know, like in the back of the book, there's all the icons. I can see what all the icons do and everything else. But for me, I kept having to look up, some of the stuff with the gladiators or the market, just to remember off the top of my head exactly, make sure I'm doing that correctly. A couple player aids would have been really nice. It's not a deal breaker for me. I can always make my own as well. But that's the only thing I wish this game had. It comes with so many sheets. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I should have looked. I don't even know how many there is. But if you can go through all these sheets of paper, you've played this game a lot. Now, the one thing I will say, there is in the back of this rule book, there is a solo campaign. And what is it? It is Fort 16. It's 16 scenarios long. And it is one that I definitely want to try to dig into. I want to play this sometime. That's on my schedule to get done. And I want to see how well that plays, because I'll tell you what, the more you play this game, and it takes some plays of this game to start getting good, because when you first play this game, oh man, you're going to think you're the worst person in the world, because this game it's hard to figure out at first. And that's what I like about it. You have to learn. It's not just looking at it and going, oh yeah, do this. It's not like that. You really got to think about it, and you really got to play around with it. Absolutely fantastic game. Then again, if this isn't your type of game, as always, and most people should do this anyways, try it before you buy it, unless it's something that looks really, really good to you. But I'll tell you what, this game is an absolute fantastic game. Staying in my collection. I cannot wait to play it again. There you go. Well, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we please ask you to like this video on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, or even on X. Also, please leave us a comment on any one of those platforms, and we'll get to those comments just as soon as we can. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you like the content we provide here, we humbly ask you to click on the subscription button, join our little family, and even click on the bell and be notified when we drop new videos. Also, if you like the content that I provide here, I also do reviews on my own channel as well, and I'll do some unboxings. I'll even do some playthroughs occasionally as well. There'll be a link to my channel down in the details below. And if you like the content we provide here, we humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. So tell me, what do you call a dog that's underwater? A subwoofer.
Somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight.
From here,
You want to kill.
so I need, where are the die?
Oh, here's
Okay. So, All right, so my
Dragon
dragons first. Oh my god!
Yes!
All right.
Woo!
This guy's
Winning.
You're better.